Leona, grab your suitcase. Her mother didn't even look up from the sink when she said it. The words came out cold, rehearsed, like something she'd been practicing in her head all morning. Leona blinked, still holding her mug of tea half awake. "What?" she asked quietly. Her mother pointed toward the narrow staircase. "Your sister's bringing her husband to stay in your room. You'll sleep in the garage from now on." The house fell silent. Leona froze. "You can't be serious." Her father folded his newspaper. "You're 24, Leona. You don't pay rent. You don't contribute. We're not running a shelter here." At that moment, her older sister walked in. Zara, the family's golden girl, with her husband Leon, both smelling of expensive perfume and self-satisfaction. "Oh, don't make a scene, Leona," Zara said lightly. "It's only for a few days. You'll survive." Leona stared at her, eyes hard. "Right. A few days," she said. Her mother crossed her arms. "There's a blanket in the closet. Try not to make a mess down there." Leon chuckled under his breath, and that laugh sliced deeper than words. Leona felt something in her chest shift. Not pain, not shame, but defiance. She turned without another word and walked to her room. Every step felt heavier than the last. She packed her clothes, her laptop, and one old photograph. Her and her late grandfather, smiling on the day he told her, "Never let small people make you smaller." When she came back out, suitcase in hand, no one looked at her. Her father muttered, "Maybe sleeping in the garage will teach you discipline." Leona didn't respond. She just walked into the cold garage, shut the door and stood still. The smell of oil and dust filled the air. She exhaled slowly. "Fine," she whispered. "Let's see who learns what." That night she barely slept. The floor was hard, the air damp, but her mind was alive. She thought about every rejection, every time they'd called her a dreamer, every investor who told her she was wasting her time. But something had changed. They thought they'd buried her. They'd only planted her. She looked at her cracked phone screen. One message glowed. "Carson picks you up at 9 a.m. sharp. Bring ID. Mr. West expects you at the tower." A small smile tugged at her lips. Tomorrow would be different. Morning light crept through the dusty window. Outside, engines rumbled. Not one but several. Leona sat up, rubbing her eyes. She brushed dust off her jeans, tied her braids into a loose bun, and put on her navy coat, the same one her mother once mocked as too ambitious for an unemployed girl. She zipped her suitcase and opened the garage door. The air hit her face, crisp and cold. Across the street, the tall glass tower shimmered in sunlight. West Tower, the same one her father used to say was, for people who actually make something of themselves. Behind her, she could hear breakfast noises, clinking dishes, laughter, the sizzle of eggs. Her mother's voice floated through the open window. "Zara, don't burn Leon's toast." Leona looked back once, at the house that had never really felt like home, and then turned as a black SUV rolled silently up the driveway. Its chrome glinted in the morning light, tinted windows polished like a mirror. The neighborhood had never seen anything like it. The driver stepped out, tall, clean-cut, holding a digital tablet. "Miss Leona Brooks?" he asked politely. "That's me," Leona said, standing straight. The front door opened. Zara appeared in her silk robe, Leon hovering behind her, both frozen. "Wait," Zara said slowly. "What's going on? Who's that?" The driver smiled professionally. "Good morning, ma'am. Mr. West sent me to escort Miss Brooks to her new residence. She'll be staying in the West Tower penthouse from today." Leona's mother rushed out, drying her hands on a towel. "What's all this noise?" She stopped mid-sentence when she saw the SUV and the man in a suit. "Morning, Mum," Leona said evenly. "Sorry if the car's too loud." Her father's chair scraped inside. Moments later, he stepped onto the porch, half-dressed and frowning. "What in God's name is this?" The driver turned to Leona. "Your luggage, Miss Brooks." "Yes, thank you." She handed him the suitcase. Zara came down a few steps, disbelief painted on her face. "You're joking." "The West Tower. That's impossible. People wait years for contracts with him. Leona smiled faintly. People wait years to get noticed. I stopped waiting. The driver opened the car door. Leona turned one last time. Her mother stood there, pale and speechless. Her father's hands trembled at his sides. Leona, her mother said. How, when you were sleeping in our garage? Leona tilted her head. Yeah. Funny how humility clears the mind. Her father stuttered. You're working with West Holdings. Partnering, she corrected softly. My startup was acquired last week. Mr. West said he liked my ideas. Ara scoffed. You. Partner. Leona's eyes met hers. You'll read about it soon enough. As the SUV pulled away, Leona watched the house shrink in the rearview mirror. Her parents, small and stunned, stood in the driveway. Zara's husband muttered something, but she didn't move. Inside, the driver handed her a folder. Mr. West asked me to give you this. It's the ownership transfer documents. You're officially the majority shareholder of the penthouse unit. Leona ran her fingers across the embossed seal. It's mine. The driver smiled. Completely. For a moment she couldn't speak. Years of doubt dissolved into quiet triumph. The SUV glided through London's glass and steel skyline, sunlight catching every building edge. Leona leaned back, her heart still thudding. She remembered all those nights coding on a broken laptop, her fingers stiff from the cold. Her parents asleep upstairs while she built something they never believed in. This wasn't about revenge. Not really. It was about rewriting the story. When they arrived at West Tower, the doorman opened the door with a respectful nod. Welcome home, Miss Brooks. Those words nearly broke her composure. She stepped out, heels clicking on the pavement. From across the street, she could still see her family watching from the window. Tiny figures, silent and still. She didn't wave. She didn't gloat. She simply walked inside. Because true victory doesn't shout, it whispers. The elevator doors closed behind her, reflecting her face. Calm, proud, unrecognizable from the woman in the garage. Garage girl, huh? She murmured with a smile. Not anymore. The elevator opened to reveal the penthouse bathed in golden light. The view stretched over the Thames, endless and alive. Leona stood still, letting the silence fill her. The hum of the city below sounded like applause. She found a note on the kitchen counter written on thick, cream paper. Welcome aboard, partner. Dinner with the board tomorrow at 8 p.m. Dress sharp. West. Her heart raced. Tomorrow, she'd stand among people who once wouldn't even answer her emails. She ran her hand across the smooth countertop, the marble cool beneath her fingertips. This is just the beginning, she whispered. The next evening, the penthouse glowed with light. A catering team arranged crystal glasses while soft jazz played in the background. Leona checked her reflection. A tailored black dress, simple jewelry, hair pulled neatly back. Her assistant, Maya, handed her a guest list. Everyone's confirmed, including the press. Leona nodded, scanning the names, and froze. Mr. and Mrs. Brooks. Invited by Mr. West himself. Maya smiled. He said your story deserves a full-circle moment. At exactly 8, the elevator chimed. Her parents stepped out first, stiff and cautious, dressed in clothes that screamed effort. Zara followed, holding Leon's arm, trying to look confident but failing. Mr. West greeted them warmly. Mr. and Mrs. Brooks, welcome. You've raised quite the daughter. Her father blinked. You know her. West laughed lightly. Know her. She's one of the brightest minds I've met. Her sustainability model cut our housing costs by 20%. I made her partner last week. Her mother's jaw dropped. Zara's perfect smile faltered. Leona stood beside West, calm and composed. Hi, Mum. Zara, she said. Enjoying the view. Zara's voice trembled. You really expect us to believe you built all this? West's eyes hardened slightly. Believe it. She earned it. Dinner began. Leona sat at the head of the table, Her family, awkward and small, sat to her right. Every toast in her honor echoed like justice. Halfway through dinner, her mother leaned close. "Why didn't you tell us, sweetheart?" Leona smiled politely. "You never asked." Her mother's lips parted. "We just wanted what's best for you." Leona's tone softened, but her eyes stayed sharp. "Sleeping in your garage wasn't best for me." The table went silent. Even West paused his glass midair. But Leona continued. "You told me I'd never make it without your help. You made me believe I was a burden. Turns out I just needed space to grow." Zara rolled her eyes. "Oh, come on, Leona. Don't make this dramatic. We were just teaching me a lesson." Leona interrupted. "You mocked me because I didn't have a husband or a fancy title. But guess what, Zara?" Leona's voice was steady now, confident. "The company your husband works for. We just acquired it this morning." Zara's face went pale. "You're lying." West raised his glass. "Actually, she's not. Welcome to being one of our subsidiaries." The guests laughed softly. Leona leaned back in her chair, letting the moment sink in. Her father finally spoke, his voice small. "I suppose I owe you an apology." She looked at him gently. "You don't owe me words, Dad. Just remember this the next time you call someone a failure." West stood, raising his glass high. "To Leona Brooks, proof that success doesn't need approval, only persistence." The room erupted in applause. Her mother's eyes filled with tears. "We didn't know you had this in you," she whispered. Leona smiled faintly. "You never tried to look." Zara sat frozen, her fork untouched, while Leon stared down at his plate, shame crawling up his neck. The rest of the table buzzed with quiet admiration for Leona. Reporters whispered her name. Investors nodded approvingly. For years, her parents had been her biggest critics. Now, in front of all these people, they were silent witnesses to her rise. Leona smiled politely, answering questions from the board, but inside she felt something deeper than pride, peace. When dinner ended, her parents lingered by the elevator. Her father cleared his throat. "Well, we'll be heading home now." Leona's lips curved faintly. The garage should still be empty. Her mother flinched, guilt flashing across her face. "Leona, please," she whispered. "We made mistakes, but we love you." Leona nodded slowly. "I know. But love without respect feels a lot like control." Her mother's eyes filled with tears as the elevator doors closed. After they left, Leona walked to the window. London stretched below. Endless lights, moving cars, quiet hums of life. Mr. West stepped beside her. "You handled that with grace," he said. "I would have lost my temper." She smiled faintly. "I already did that years ago. Tonight was just closure." He nodded approvingly. "You've earned every bit of this. Now use it to build something bigger than yourself." 3 weeks later, the newspapers called her the woman who rose from the garage. Reporters wanted interviews, schools requested talks, and investors sent offers daily. But Leona stayed grounded. She woke early, brewed her coffee, and worked from her glass office overlooking the city. No shouting, no judgment, no one telling her what she couldn't do. The peace was foreign, almost fragile. That Sunday morning, Maya knocked gently on her office door. "Leona," she said softly, "someone's here to see you." Leona looked up from her laptop. "Who?" Maya hesitated. "Your parents and your sister." Leona froze, fingers hovering above the keyboard. She took a slow breath. "Send them up." When the elevator opened, her mother stepped out first, clutching her purse like a lifeline. Her father followed, quieter than she'd ever seen him. Zara came last. Makeup perfect, but her eyes red and tired. "Leona," her mother began, voice trembling. "We didn't know where else to go." Leona folded her hands calmly. "Why? What happened?" Her father's voice cracked. "Leon got fired last week. His firm collapsed after the acquisition. We didn't realize. It was your company." There it was, the circle completing itself. Leona said nothing, only nodded slowly. Zara's voice wavered. I'm sorry, okay? For everything. I shouldn't have treated you like that. I was jealous. You made it out. I didn't. Leona studied her sister's face. The same eyes that once looked at her with mockery now filled with regret. Her mother added quickly, We're not asking for much, sweetheart. Just a small place to stay until we figure things out. Your father's pride won't let him admit it, but we need help. Leona leaned back in her chair, the irony almost painful. Funny, she said softly. You once told me sleeping in the garage would teach me discipline. Maybe this will teach you humility. Her father lowered his eyes. You're right, he murmured. We deserve that. The room went quiet. For a moment, Leona just watched them, the family who had once thrown her away now standing small and uncertain before her. Her chest tightened. She'd imagined this moment 100 times, thought it would feel like victory. But it didn't. Watching them now, broken and human, she realized revenge wasn't satisfaction. Growth was. She stood slowly. You can stay in one of the corporate apartments downstairs. Maya will arrange everything. Her mother gasped. Thank you, Leona. I don't know what we did to deserve your kindness. Leona smiled faintly. You didn't. But I'm not like you. Zara wiped her tears. I wish I'd believed in you sooner. Leona nodded gently. Belief isn't something you hand out, Zara. It's something you earn yourself. Her father hesitated by the door. I'm proud of you, he whispered. Truly proud. The words hit Leona harder than she expected. She didn't answer, just nodded quietly. Eyes glistening but steady when they left, she walked to the window. Down below, the same cul-de-sac shimmered in afternoon sunlight. Once, that street had felt like a prison. Now it was just a road leading away from the past. She watched her family walk toward their car, slower, humbler, and felt something she hadn't before, freedom. Maya appeared beside her. You did the right thing, she said. Leona smiled faintly. Maybe. But it's not about being right anymore. It's about being free. They stood there a while in silence, the city glowing beneath them like a living map of possibilities. Later that evening, Leona walked barefoot across the penthouse floor. The lights of the skyline shimmered on the marble. She thought about her grandfather. His laughter, his words. Don't let small people make you smaller. She whispered to the air, I didn't, Grandpa. I built something instead. She picked up her phone. Dozens of notifications, interview requests, partnership offers. She smiled and switched it off. For the first time, she wasn't chasing validation. She already had everything she needed. The hum of the city was enough. The next morning, she visited West's office. He greeted her with a firm handshake. You handled that family situation with more dignity than most CEOs I know, he said. It's not easy to forgive. Leona smiled. Forgiveness isn't weakness. It's freedom. West nodded approvingly. Well said. Now let's build that foundation we talked about. 4 young women in tech. That afternoon, she stood before a group of interns. Young women from across the city, wide-eyed and eager. You don't need permission to build something, she told them. Even if people throw you into a garage, use it as your workshop. The girls laughed softly, inspired. One raised her hand. So that's how you started. Leona grinned. Exactly. That's how I built an empire. The foundation became her new passion. Every story she heard reminded her why she'd fought so hard. She spent her days mentoring, teaching, and creating spaces for others to grow. Success, she realized, wasn't about proving people wrong. It was about helping others believe they could be right about themselves. One evening, as she locked her office, she looked out across the skyline. The tower lights sparkled like constellations. She whispered softly, They sent me to the garage, but that's where I learned to build. Her reflection in the glass looked older, calmer, unshakable. She smiled. And I'm just getting started. The elevator doors slid shut behind her, carrying her down to the world she had once been excluded from. The city pulsed below, alive and full of possibility. Leona Brooks, the girl once told she wasn't enough, had built her freedom brick by brick, code by code, night after night. And as she stepped into the cool evening air, the sound of her heels echoed like applause. She didn't just feel successful. She felt unstoppable.